I just finished suffering through listening to Kevin Durant's latest stupidity. And that's what it is. I mean, it is, oh, it's not just gross and immature and irresponsible, but it's flat out stupid. And I'll break down why I described it the way I described it. Well, okay, maybe I should just play it for you. I don't want you to have to suffer through it, but here you have it for reference, and then we'll get specific.
They like, man, y'all need to play harder in the All-Star game. And like, I'm like, y'all just like that's so easy for y'all to say. How about y'all come up with like, why do you think the games are getting out of hand like this? I'll find one thing to nitpick. If it's not perfect, totally perfect, then they don't love it.
Yeah.
It's kind of taboo to talk about the fans or to criticize the fans. It's
Yeah.
just we pay y'all hard-earned money and we basically fund y'all whole operation, so y'all can't say shit about us. And I'm like, you know what? Y'all have a huge impact on what we do, right? So how can we not say how can y'all not be a factor to why shit is going bad? I'm getting sick of it, man.
But is there something that you suggest can improve and help grow the game further than where it is today?
Nah, I think only the players can grow the game.
But let me address that I've sort of defended KD from time to time in the past, but that's over with. One of the things that made him somewhat likable was that he was quiet. It kind of keeps you out of trouble. Now, am I just realizing that the only reason you didn't seem more stupid is because you were keeping your mouth shut and opening your mouth was a problem? I have a primary point that I hope you'll stick around in the video to listen to, but let me address just a couple of the specifics about the stupidity.
So easy for y'all to say. How about y'all come up with like, why do you think the games are getting out of hand?
My gut reaction is to say, are you an adult? Are you honestly asking the fans to tell you how to do your job? Do you not know what your job is unless the fans tell you what your job is? Do you as an adult who for your professional career getting paid a shitload of money not have the capacity to look at yourself and think, here's what I could do better? No, because of course today it's a lot easier to blame. The way that society has adopted the blame culture is frightening. It's like an avalanche and a tidal wave of blame at the same time, and absolutely a desert of accountability.
It's kind of taboo to talk about the fans or to criticize the fans.
Again, how old are you? You shouldn't even be worried about what the fans are saying. If you were handling your business, it wouldn't matter. If you were right with yourself mentally and emotionally, I mean, even if you were playing the way you should be playing, fans are still going to criticize. Someone's always going to criticize, and you don't get to turn around and get mad that people are people. That's what fans do. Fans criticize. You somewhere inside have to have the maturity to just worry about whether or not you're getting your shit done. If you were focused on your craft, on your profession, you wouldn't have time to be worried about what the fans are saying. And guess what? The fans, if you were doing your job, would be a lot kinder. If you're going to listen to them, here's a hint. If you were better and delivering a better product, guess what? The fans would be a little kinder. And the sad thing is, he's only talking about specific fans, people who still have some expectations, who still hope to see some competitive basketball, because there's a whole new population of fans that are fine with whatever you want to do, Kevin. And there are a lot of them that are nodding their heads and saying, yep, that's right, Kevin. Whatever you say, Kevin. Yep. I don't know why people expect you to do your job. I don't know why people expect you to do your job well. It's bullshit. It's such bullshit. We all know what type of people those are. Those are people that have LeBron James as their GOAT. Back to the specifics of what he said there. It's taboo to criticize the fans. Who in the fuck has time to criticize the fans? Get back to work, you goddamn lazy bitch. And who told you to take your shirt off? Did your agent okay this? That was dumb. Now I'm going to play two segments back to back so that you have an idea of just how dumb it was.
You know what? Y'all have a huge impact on what we do, right? So how can we not say career? How can y'all not be a factor to why shit is going bad?
But is there something that you suggest can improve and help grow the game further than where it is today?
Nah, I think only the players can grow the game.
Okay, at the risk of getting stupid ourselves, let's try and wrap our heads around what he said. First, he said that there's no way that the fans aren't a factor, followed by only the players can really impact the game. You know, when you contradict yourself that directly, you'd think it would take a while, you know, like maybe a day or two later and you forgot what lie you told the day before. But this was within moments of the first stupid thing that he said, contradicting his own stupidity, but adding somehow, almost impossibly, another layer of that stupidity. Draymond asked him if there was a way for players to take the game further, to which he said, no, only players can do that. What f***ing conversation are you listening to? Okay, and then we have the insanity of challenging the fans, like telling the fans, why don't you all come up with a solution? Why don't you all tell us why these games are getting so out of control? Moments before you said that, you quoted the fans stating that you weren't trying hard enough. You're clearly not listening. Don't turn around and say, why don't you fans contribute and tell us what's wrong, when they just did and you're complaining about it. And clearly, as I already said, not listening. These guys are in such a rush to whine and complain that they actually aren't even processing information. Not all information is good. Certainly not all information coming from the fans is going to be good. But it's kind of a moot point because you don't seem to have the cognitive ability to process information. What he said wasn't just embarrassing and absurd. Like, for example, what if I went on a pity rampage here and said that my videos are doing badly because of you guys, because of the fan base, because of the supporters? You're not supporting me enough. You know, we're in this together. To use Kevin Durant's words, you know, we're in this together. You know, you guys play a major role in this. Didn't you know that? Now the burden's off me. It's not because my video was wrong. It's not because I did anything wrong. It's you guys. You guys screwed up. And if any of these NBA guys on these podcasts were surrounded with real friends, they'd realize how dumb they sound. And that's the angle I'm taking today. I know other people have already talked about what Kevin Durant said. My angle, my unique take on this is to focus on the people sitting in that recording studio, these freaking vultures waiting for scraps, these suck-ups, these anti-friends, these people who cause the other person to become even worse because they either are afraid, to be honest, or are actually as gross as they seem to be. Because all you hear in the background, no matter how stupid the person talking is, no matter how stupid what comes out of that person's mouth is, all you hear from the people there is, true that. Oh, for real, that's 100% facts. Facts. Shut the up and help your friend out if you have an inkling of intelligence. That's what all of these shows are essentially. Somewhere for one of these guys to go and make an excuse while surrounded by people who will absolutely not confront them, who will back them up and support anything that comes out of their mouths. And that's how we've ended up with so many people saying dumb shit on camera. You know I'm bringing this back to LeBron James. You know I am. First, over-the-top, stupid crap that I ever heard came from LeBron James's The Shop, a show that he produced in order for himself to talk about himself and surround himself with people who were going to agree with whatever came out of his mouth. The conversations on that show were as fake as pretending that you were actually cutting hair off of LeBron James's head. What kind of a sick person has the props department deposit a piece of something on your shoulder for the photo shoot? Damn, I can't find the still frame. There's one, and it's got all this just chunks of dark stuff. I can't say it was hair. I don't know what they had in the props department that they brought out. Maybe they took someone else's hair off the floor. Anyway, whatever it was, somehow it was sitting there on LeBron's shoulder with the barber there pretending like he just cut it off. As if he has the thickest head of hair on the planet. But when you see these mock-ups of what he would look like without his beard and without the head of hair, I guess you can't blame him. I mean, damn. Cover as much as possible. If he could be allowed to wear a hat while he's playing, I would approve it. When I heard that LeBron James declared himself the greatest of all time, I actually didn't believe it. I thought it was a joke. Like, as disgusting as LeBron James is, I actually didn't think he would be that disgusting. But that was back in 2018, and things have only gone further downhill since then, and society and the media has gone downhill right along with him, because no one wants to stand up and say, gross, shut the fuck up. And on that episode, this was so scripted ahead of time. They were all ready for the line and couldn't wait to agree with it, that they were accidentally talking over the top of each other when the crucial line was delivered. What did you hear? What did you hear from the other people? Did anyone in there say, oh man, you know, you might be the GOAT, but don't say that. Let other people say it. And that would be an example of mild pushback. There's not a chance in hell LeBron would have anyone on that show would say, hell no, you're not the GOAT. Stop it. What's wrong with you? It's cowardly. It's cowardly. And if there's any blowback, you know what? Have some other human piece of trash come on and reconfirm that it was fine for you to call yourself the GOAT. Imagine the mind of someone. And this isn't some random YouTuber like me using the social media platform to get out my opinion. This is someone with a lot of money who can self-fund a show that went on HBO in order to have a platform to tell the world everything from his point of view and surround himself with people who will not disagree with him. Here we are in 2025 with more and more NBA players using podcasts, not for anything original or insightful, but basically to make excuses. They make excuses for the past. They make excuses in real time. Kevin Durant is making an excuse in real time. It's not gross enough that he's making excuses, but he's actually blaming the fans for how he plays basketball? But again, when did this trend start? Like, to me, the first of this was The Shop. And that's only one of LeBron's media outlets. You know, I think he has 7 media companies. And one of the more recent add-ons to all the other platforms in order for the world to hear his version of reality was, of course, his podcast with JJ Redick. And one of the standout moments was him when 3 out of 5 starters were the best players in the East. Mercenaries. Something constructed in the dark and dishonestly, so dishonestly that LeBron James continued to pretend that it was a spur of the moment decision on live television. I mean, the guy's ability to lie without shame is on a politician's level. His career should have been ended right then and there. But standards were lowered for LeBron James. And LeBron James went on to fail in epic fashion. And in 2024, LeBron James said that they lost because they didn't have enough. And he was surrounded by minimums. I already did a show about this, proving that they weren't minimums, whatever that disrespectful word means. But the real kicker is that if the Heat had played another minimum guy instead of LeBron James, they would have won. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it, LeBron James. That's how bad you were. You're here talking about the minimums when you were the problem. You were just not good. You were so bad that replacing you with just about anyone would have had a better result. Anyway, to me, LeBron James basically started this. And the most specific example was the shop. And it only got worse from there. Now, maybe someone can show an example that the shop wasn't the first of that sort of content. But I'll tell you one thing. The face of the league, the guy who gets credited with doing so much for the NBA and for the game, is the guy that you have to also say, well, you're kind of setting the standard. You're kind of showing the world what is acceptable. Now, I think as grown men, every single one of them should make their own decision and not do something just because LeBron James did it, whether he's the face of the league or not. But it sure as hell doesn't discourage anyone when someone who is glorified by the NBA and ESPN around the clock is behaving disgustingly and is benefiting from it. In what way, shape, or form is that a good influence on the other players in the NBA? How could we not end up here listening to Podcast P spit out absurdities, Draymond Green just with a never-ending, nauseating stream of vomit, and Kevin Durant saying the crap that he's saying? The guy who is praised nonstop by the NBA set the example, and everyone else who isn't the face of the NBA is actually supposed to behave better than him when the NBA itself is actually showing us that behaving badly will have no consequences and, in fact, will continue to praise you? Yeah, no wonder we are where we are. All right, a bonus line. Out of LeBron's own mouth, his own words. I mean, he's so full of himself that he can't even see when he's screwing himself. He showed the world his mentality is about himself. How are you going to go on your own show after having time to rehearse what you're going to say and basically declare to the world, in that moment, I was thinking about myself and wondering how to prove to the world how good I am and whether or not I'll ever be able to convince people how good I think I am. Like in that moment of celebration, he's not being thankful for what Kyrie did. He's not being honest with what the league did for him. He's not saying, thanks, Ty Lue, for sticking with me even though I shat all over you. Thanks for calling that final play for Kyrie. I mean, the guy's brain was on himself the entire time. The insecurity level, not just the ego, but the insecurity level to be worried about something like that. There's not a chance in hell There's not a chance in hell after any of Michael Jordan's 6 championships. One of his first thoughts was, damn, I'm definitely the GOAT after that one.